yeah, I won't. Sure he's not calling in on Zoom.
Okay.
Joe, do you have a name change going on that you don't know
Let's say,
about? Mark Paulson?
oh, I should take care of that. I believe the city administrator right here, though.
Well,
Get a
okay.
promotion?
I was gonna leave it.
I wouldn't want that.
That's good.
If you want, we can swap once we get there. It is part of the agenda.
Take that one.
Oh,
Take it.
yeah.
Derek's not coming.
Go ahead.
It's all yours.
Hello?
Richard.
You pick. I'm
Hi, this
easy.
is Mark. So we're just calling you for the council meeting.
Okay, I was just looking up the phone number to get the Zoom call.
All right, well, this will probably be easier to go this direction, so should be good. Okay,
I'm all set.
all right, awesome. Oh, except you want to
Wow.
one of those lights by the screen there. Yeah, that's fine. That's good. Oops. No, the one, you had the one there. There you go. Oh, except. Just get like one of the. Not that.
Now, look at the new phone,
There you go.
and when I look at the screen, it says video call. Is there a chance that I could conceivably see you guys?
Well, Richard, if you want to call in on Zoom, I can try to set it up. I have to kind of move, the problem is I gotta move my iPad so you can see.
Yeah, well, never mind.
Then we kind of lose we lose the main screen, so.
Yeah, no. We'll stay with what we got then.
We do this big upgrade of our AV system in the room here. We'll be talking about that later in the agenda, but that would make it so people could literally call in and see, and I think it'd be a whole different thing. But right now, we're sort of limited, so.
Yeah, okay.
Start with a special city, I don't know if everybody can hear or not, a special city council meeting for October the 13th of 2020. And we will start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'll stand please and remove your headgear.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do the call to order. Mayor Henke is here, Councilman John Mortensen. And they have to say aye, is that correct? Yes, each one. Aye for Doug Henke and John Mortensen. Aye. Tom Guard.
Aye.
Dan Rutschel.
Aye.
Aye. And Zoom, Richard Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay. City Administrator Mark Volsing. City Engineer Joe Ryan. Joe?
Aye.
Hello. Okay. And City Attorney Scott Briggs.
Aye.
Okay, all is present. And we can start now with citizens' comments. Are there anybody in the audience that have something that they wish to say? Oh boy, okay. We'll give it one more shot there. Anybody have anything to say? Okay, we'll move on with the, adopt the agenda. And I believe there is gonna be one change, is that correct?
Yeah, I do have one item to add, and that would be under old business D. That would be storm sewer installation or extension on the west end of Kenyon Road.
Is there anything else that needs to be brought up on the, adopt the agenda?
Mayor, I'll move we adopt the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and second to adopt the agenda. And again, we need to go by roll call. Mayor Henke, present. John Mortensen.
Aye.
Tom Guard.
Aye.
Dan Regigal.
Aye.
Aye. Richard Nelson.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes pass. Okay, then we can go on with the consent agenda and approval of the minutes and appointments, and also financial. So do we have a motion on that? Or is there any discussion?
I move we adopt the consent agenda.
We'll second that. So again, we'll go through. Mayor Henke is an aye. Don Morrison.
Aye.
Tom Guard.
Aye.
Aye. Dan Regigal.
Aye.
Richard Nielsen.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes pass. Okay, presentations in public hearings and recognition proclamations. Are there any on the agenda for that?
No.
None? Okay, moving right along then. So we'll get on to engineering. Go Ryan.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Good evening, council. We've got a few items on the agenda. There was a memo in your packet with the attachments. The first item we wanted to talk about was Red Wing Avenue. We'll give you an update on that project. There's 3 items that we need to cover on that. First, we'll just give you a general update on where things are at with the construction on the project. So all of the sanitary sewer and water mains are installed. There's still, as of last week, there were still a couple of services yet to be finished up. They may have gotten done by now. The road grading is pretty well along, far enough along that the concrete crew was able to come in and start putting down the concrete in the second phase, the south phase of the project. And I just drove through it. I was able to drive through all the way from end to end here tonight. And they've got about half the curb put in on that second phase of the project, and probably less than half of the sidewalk, but they're going to keep working on that all week. Our understanding is we're still on track to do the paving next week, and they look like they're on track to meet the substantial completion date, which is October 31st. So essentially by 2 weeks from Friday, things should be pretty well buttoned up out there with all the concrete and all the paving in place. There is a little bit of storm sewer left to be done as well, and primarily that fold craft piece that's on the east side of the road, and that is waiting on the final execution of the agreement. And I think Scott's going to cover that more in his presentation. My understanding is Holdcraft signed it, so now it's back in the city's court just to execute on the city's behalf. And if that happens in time, they'll get that pipe put in this fall. If it doesn't happen in time, then that piece of storm sewer may get delayed until the spring. But even if it does, it won't affect the completion of the road project. So all of the road construction will get done because that piece of storm sewer is outside of the roadway. So, just a question. And the change order for it has already been approved, so we've got the price and everything. So it's just a question of if it gets done this fall or next spring. So before I go on to the next item, any questions on the current status of the construction? All right. The next item then on Red Wing Avenue is the monthly payment to the contractor. And we've prepared that document. It's in your council packet. And the work covers through the end of September, essentially. And the amount for payment after the retainage is $232,284.50. This is payment number 5. And with this payment, it represents about just under 2/3 of the total contract paid out to the contractor. So that one would require a motion for approval of the payment to the contractor.
I'll make the motion that we make pay request number 5.
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and second for pay request number 5 of $232,284.50. Those in favor, say aye, which is Henke, Mayor Henke, John Mortensen.
Aye.
Tom Guard,
Aye.
Dan Retchigo,
Aye.
and Richard Nielsen.
Aye.
Ayes passed, the bill will be paid.
Thank you, Council. The final item regarding the Red Wing Avenue project is discussion of the final assessments. With the construction being at the point where it is, we were able to estimate the final project cost now with a level of confidence necessary to do the final assessment calculation. So we have done that, and the proposed final assessment roll was included in your council packets. The action that needs to be happened tonight is to pass a resolution that will call for the public hearing where we can review the assessments with the public, get any feedback from them, and then you can actually consider adopting the assessment roll at the or at the conclusion of that public hearing. So tonight, it's more just informational purposes with the resolution that is going to be addressed under the legal portion of the agenda. And the resolution will essentially set the time and date for that public hearing, and it will set the terms of regarding the length of payment for the assessments, which is recommended for 15 years, and the interest rate to be charged on the assessments, which is recommended to be 3.35%. And that number came from Northland, the financial consultants for the city, and it was based on the bond sale that the city had to do for the project. So Scott will go over the details of the resolution in that portion of his portion of the agenda. Just a couple of comments on the assessments. We won't go through them in detail now because there'll be a detailed presentation to the public when we have the public hearing. But in general, the street work came in a little bit higher than the feasibility report. Remember, in the feasibility report, we have to estimate the assessments, and so that we can show the public how we're financing the project and what the estimated assessments for all the properties are. So now we can compare the final assessments to what they were estimated in the feasibility report. And what we're finding is the street work came in a little bit over the estimated amount, but the utility work came in under the estimated amount. And so for about 90% of the properties, the final assessments are equal to or lower than what was estimated in the report. There are a few where the assessments actually went up from the feasibility report to the final amounts, and those were the properties that had less utility work associated with them. They were heavier on the street work, and the street work went a little bit over the estimate, which is why their assessments want to be a little bit higher. But happy to report that for 90% of the parcels, the assessments are equal to or less than the amounts that were estimated in the feasibility report. And Derek did include in his memo just the typical example lot, which is a 75-foot frontage lot, which includes street, sidewalk, and utility mains, and then a new sewer and water service. We had estimated that amount at $12,029 in the feasibility report, and the actual amount in the final assessments is about $11,149. So for the typical lot, the standard lot, is about $900 lower than the estimated amount that was stated in the feasibility report. So with that, I'll try to keep the engineering report a little bit shorter than I usually. I know you guys are used to Derek now the last few months, so I got to make sure that I don't get back into my bad habits of having too long of an engineering report. So I can stop there. As I mentioned, the attorney will review the components of the resolution when we get to that part of the agenda. But in general, if you've got any questions regarding the assessment process or the assessment role, I'm certainly glad to try and answer those.
That's good news.
Very good news.
Most of this 90% winners and only 10% losers.
Not quite catch that. Maybe we should pass it out.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions on Red Wing Avenue, then I'll proceed. The other part of the update tonight is the business park project. So as you know, work on that project began a couple of weeks ago. Most of you were able to attend the groundbreaking ceremony that we had last Wednesday out on site. That was very nice to have that groundbreaking ceremony to officially kick off that project. They have completed the work along County Road 12, the utility work. It was primarily just water main and storm sewer. There's no sanitary sewer on the county road. So they were able to get that done pretty quickly and get the pipes pulled out into the plat and off of the roadway, so they were able to get the road put back together. And I was able to drive straight through on it tonight. It's a nice gravel roadway at this point. So it is passable again now, and it is open to a limited amount of traffic. They will have the paving on the county road. That patch will be done by October 31st was completion date. And so they're well on track to get that patch done in accordance with that completion date. So that covers the work down at the south end of the project. Once they got that done, they moved up to the north end, which is the low end of the sewer. They usually like to put the sewer in, starting at the low end and working upstream. They weren't able to start at the very end of the project, which is in front of the county shop. The reason is we found out there's a gas main that was marked in the wrong location when they do the locates for when we were doing the design of the plans. Went out there and actually potholed it when they were ready to start installing pipe, and it's right in conflict with the sanitary sewer main. So we've got to wait for the gas company to come up with a design to move their gas main and get it relocated before we can do that pipe work. So the contractor moved to the east side of the county shop driveway and just started at the next manhole and started installing. And as of tonight, it looks like they're all the way ready to start making the turn now and start coming south towards the business park. But what that means is that last part along Highway 60 in front of the county shop won't be able to be done until the gas main gets relocated. And we're not sure if the gas main is going to get relocated in time for them to be able to do it this fall. In the contract, it had said that the work up there was supposed to be done this fall. We had a milestone completion date in the contract. So what we've done to recognize this condition that's really out of the contractor's control is we've prepared change order number 1 to the contract. And all it does is says that the work in front of the county shop, that sewer work, is removed from this completion date this fall and is allowed to be done next spring if it has to be. That's at no penalty to the contractor. So it doesn't change any dollar amounts in the contract, and it doesn't increase the cost or decrease the cost. It's a $0 change order. It's simply changing the time that they're allowed to do that piece of the work because of this conflict with the gas main, which is beyond their control. Other than that, everything is proceeding well with the contract and with the contractor, and the work is coming along very well so far. So the only action we have for you tonight is that change order number 1 to the contract, and that's included in your packet for consideration of approval.
I would move we approve change order number 1.
We have a motion. Need a second on it?
I'll second.
Okay. The motion has been made. Second for change order number 1. All those in favor say aye, which would be Mayor Henke as an aye. Don Morrison?
Aye.
Aye. Tom Guard?
Aye.
Aye. Dan Retchell?
Aye.
Richard Nielsen?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes, ayes.
All right, well, I won't throw any other questions you may have this evening. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, that would conclude my report.
Next.
Okay, thank you, Joe. We'll get on to the legal end of it. This is the first part of it, will be the photograph lot split update. Attorney Riggs, you need to speak up on it?
I will. Thank you, Mayor and Council. The purchase agreement that you approved last month, along with the lot split, have moved forward and were provided to Photograph and their attorney. There are a couple of minor revisions of purchase agreement. They've executed it. It's ready for council, the mayor and the city administrator to execute. We've already drafted the majority of the closing documents, so it may close within the next week, if possible, based on title work and things like that. So it should be ready to go very quickly. As Joe explained, the sooner it gets done, the more likely it can be project aspects be completed in that area. But we'll try to get that done. So it's ready to go, and that's really, there's no action for you, it's just an update. That's where we're at.
Scott, if I may, does Foldcraft need to be present for the closing?
We'll likely just do a dry closing, which means by mail or just documents, so no.
Okay. I think they had just asked because they were just wondering if they had any actions left that they need to take.
You'll have some documents to sign, but other than that, that's it.
Okay.
Scott, can I get you to speak up a little bit?
I will try.
Do you want to switch spots?
All right?
I'll do
Is that, an update then?
That's it.
Enough?
Yep.
Okay. And we go on to second one, is that correct? Ordinance?
That is correct. This is an item that's being brought back to you. Council directed that we revise the number of members of the commission, the Historic Preservation Commission. That's the ordinance you now have before you. It's as simple as a vote to adopt that, and that change will take effect upon publication. So it's recommended you adopt the ordinance, and we'll get it published.
Does anybody have any discussion on that?
The ordinance being what?
It reduces the number of people on the Historic Preservation Committee.
7 to 3?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we can't have 7 to 3.
Okay.
So I'll move approval of ordinance number 93.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion has been made and second on ordinance number 93, amending section 575-05 regarding the Historic Preservation Commission. Mayor Henke says aye. John Robson?
Aye.
Aye. Tom Guard? Aye. Aye. Dan Rutschel?
Aye.
Aye. Richard Nielsen?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes pass.
I'll jump in, next one, yeah, I'll go for the next one. Item C is a lot combination request from Jerry and Diane Barrett. Pretty straightforward, we have these on a fairly frequent basis. You have in the packet the application, as well as a depiction of the combination, or the lots being combined. You also have a resolution that the city adopts pursuant to our city code for a lot combination. The condition contained within that, the only thing that would be left after tonight would be the vacation of the right-of-way that you see on the third page of that item, page 41 of the total agenda. It's highlighted in yellow, there's an alley section there that would be vacated at a future date. We have to do a public hearing for that and adopt a vacation resolution, but it doesn't slow down the lot combination, it'd just be a task that would need to be completed in the future. It is called out in the resolution you have before you, which is resolution 2020-27, and it's recommended that you move forward with approval.
I have a question. Okay, this shows the combination of this lot, but this picture shows, I mean, what are we looking at here? I mean, this looks like
I'm not
it,
sure what the other overhead one is. I'm going by strictly utilizing the certificate of survey that we got attached to the resolution. The one the back page there, yes, that one.
yeah, I mean, they've got, I see Cross Street and Pine Street,
Yep.
you know, and all that, but
Yep.
this shows it crossing over into this area over here.
Yeah, so that's not totally correct. You want to just look at the old plat, like if you turn around and look at the,
Yeah, I can see it up there. I mean,
yeah, that's the official, I mean, they own like those lots 1 and 2 up there, I believe, that are they're highlight, or, they're dark around there, but that's not part of this.
11 and 12 are what they're,
11, 12, 1 through 6, and then 11 and 12 in block 3, I believe is it for that, for the combination request.
Tom, if you have any question on part of that there, it's mainly off down in the ravine part of it and all sorts of wooded lots, so there really isn't anything in there outside of what's growing now, trees.
okay. Can I ask a silly question? Is why are these lots being combined? What's the future endeavor?
They're building they received approval for a variance back in 2016, maybe 15 or 16, and they haven't built the actual building, but they're gonna build an like metal storage building on that,
Okay,
and they need to combine the lots in order to build on that area, because they're gonna build a building over most of that area,
okay,
so.
thank you.
Mayor, I'll move approval of resolution 2020-27.
Somebody second that?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion's been made and second on resolution 2020-27 approving lot combination. Mayor Henke is in favor of it. John Morrison?
Aye.
Tom Guard?
Aye.
Richard? Dan, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Okay, and then we'll go with Richard Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay. Ayes, ayes.
I will jump in, yep, right on the next one, item D is the Bigelow Homes lot combination, very similar item, almost the exact same resolution. I did provide Mark with an updated resolution earlier this afternoon. They're consistent with his comments and his city administrator update. We have made it very clear that one of the conditions for this lot combination is that the layout for what is going to be constructed is consistent with the map that we're going to attach to the resolution. So that's what's been added. We have another exhibit in the resolution. But again, straightforward. You can see on the certificate of survey, it's the two lots that are being combined. There will also be the requirement that they should come back to the city for the vacation of any unneeded easements, which typically are the easements that run between the two lots. We usually try to get rid of those so somebody doesn't run the utility line through that area, because there's no lot line there anymore. It's just we've got easements there. But that's another corrective action, just like the last one for a vacation request, which we will follow up with probably the next meeting, in all honesty. So, again, straightforward, combination.
This is just for the combination then?
This is
of the
for
lots?
the combination, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, that condition of the coming back for the vacation is set forth in the resolution as well. It's a requirement.
Mark, have you anything to say on that?
No, I think the conditions being, there's probably two conditions, but the first and the main condition is that the garage follows that Exhibit B site plan. And the other thing is that they'll also have to vacate the easements between those two lots, but that's something that's just a formality, it's not a big deal, but that is also have to be recorded, those have to be vacated, because there's easements that run between all the lots along all four sides of each lot. So when lots are combined, we require that the easements are vacated between the lots. It's more of just, it's actually better for the property owner interest-wise, but it's just a requirement that we have, so that's not that's really a formality, it's not a major thing, but we'll talk to Joel, talk to Bigelow about that.
Anybody else have any questions on it?
Yeah, on the original, the We have site plan 1 and site plan 2. Now, on the updated one, I only see the site plan 1.
Well, I put site plan 1 in there because that was the original site plan, and I wasn't sure if that was gonna come up tonight. But what we're recommending is that site plan 2 be tied to this lot combination, because otherwise, in effect, as I said in my memo, what's occurring is that's gonna usurp the ordinance. Ordinance does not allow garages or accessory buildings to be built on vacant lots. And so by combining those lots, basically what happens is you put a garage way over to the south. It's gonna basically go against what the ordinance says. And I worked with Bigelow, where they, talked to me about this and, came back with a plan to move the garage closer to the house, but there's still a little bit of separation there. It's the same setback. I think that's a reasonable, request. And that garage is gonna go on the second lot, but it's close enough to the house that it's like, it looks like part of the house instead of something that's standalone way on the other side, plus it would have access on Scovin, so.
But at this point, we're not voting on that per se, just the
Well-
combination of lots at this point.
What you would be, what we're saying in this resolution is that's gonna be a condition of this lot combination, is that site plan is followed, so that we don't run into an issue where they come back and say, well, we wanna put it way on the other side again, or in the middle of a lot or whatever.
I believe they changed it. I was up there today, they're digging footings. And it's gonna be an attached garage, it goes alongside it'd be on the south side of the house, the garage is gonna go full length from the front to the back.
Well, yeah, this site plan shows the garage is the same setback as the house.
But I don't think it's gonna be a detached garage.
That's ours, and they haven't started digging yet.
That wasn't the one today?
Yeah, the
310.
permit hasn't been approved.
Yeah,
so I
we're waiting for
hope
the
they're not-
permit, so nothing's started.
Because the permit is still won't be approved until this gets,
Oh.
reviewed by the council, so.
On the north side?
Any other?
I'm trying to understand.
Resolution
I'm thinking this was the
2020-28.
same side as you.
For work.
Okay, we're making a,
So the people, the potential buyers are here, I don't know if they have any comments or.
you got?
Speak up. Can you speak? So I'm curious why the garage needs to be moved 14 feet from the house. In the first place, I think state ordinance is 20 feet. Detached garage has to be at least 20 feet from the house that we're building. And I'm not sure why on the other one we just approved, or that you guys just approved for Barrett, it's a single building on a lot without a house, and we're just combining that one,
It's zoned ag,
okay?
it's an ag building, so it's a whole different thing.
So we want to build it a little farther onto the second lot, and we came to you in July and asked you what we needed to do that. And you explained that we needed to merge the lots, so that's what we're trying to do. We just came moving in from the country, so I don't want somebody on top of me. I'd like a little privacy in between my garage and my house. It's the reason I wanted it centered or a little farther south on the lot. It's not to make it look like it's an abandoned lot or an abandoned building on the yard. It's so I can have a little privacy in the middle of my yard, and I plan to put trees all around the yard anyway to square it up and make it look very, very presentable, and it's gonna be a nice setup. Putting it too close to the garage goes against really what I wanna do. I don't see any ordinance that says that I can't have it on that lot when they're merged together, because effectively they are one lot then.
Right, but see, the whole, when I talked to you in July, what I had told you is correct, that if you did combine the lots and you want to build a garage, but again, I would say to anybody, and I don't remember our conversation in July, but we didn't have this plan. That's my answer. If you would come to me in July with that first option, that had a garage that goes all the way over and accessed on a different street, I would have told you that probably won't be permitted.
But we don't have that.
No, so this is, and I'm trying to work with, and I've been working with Bigelow, and I've talked to you about this a little bit, but, it's, the building code, and we can check into this, this is what Bigelow gave us as a plan. This is what we're bringing to the council. They're the ones applying for it, so I can't address the 20 feet versus the 14. I didn't tell them to do that. I did not, they said, I asked them
This
if
is
the
not,
garage could be moved closer to the house. And so I can't address the actual building code and the fire separation. I don't know that off the top of my head, but they should know that. And so they brought us a plan, but I want to be clear, I didn't tell them to put it 14 or 20 feet from the house. We asked them to move it closer to the house because otherwise I think you're violating the intent of the ordinance. You're combining two lots to get around the ordinance. And I'm just being, clear that that's how it appears. And so, because otherwise there would be no reason to have that ordinance. If, every time somebody comes in, they just say, we're going to combine lots and put the garage wherever we want. I mean, I think from a resale standpoint, it's going to be better to have that garage closer than have it, because you're dealing with the corner lot. I mean, if you had a lot that was, where you had woods in back and you didn't have a side street going on one side of it, I think it would be a different scenario. But you have, Scogan and then Deer Run, or the street there, you have those two, you have a corner lot. So I think that does make a difference in how, when you look at this. And again, it comes back to, you have two lots, and the ordinance says you can't put an accessory building on the second lot. So it's not like I'm recommending that there's no accessory building on that second lot. We're just asking that it be moved closer to the house.
I understand that, but that's not the drawing that Bigelow submitted to you the end of last week. What we submitted to you was this drawing right here,
With the trees and
with the trees around it and the building to the south of the driveway on Whitetail. And there's no trees there now, but, it's a bare lot, and we're not trying to put it on two separate lots. That's why we want to merge them, because it's not two lots anymore, then it's one lot, and nothing else can be done with it anyway, other than be my residence. So I'm not trying to skate around anything, I'm just trying to have a little privacy between my
I
house and
understand
the
that,
garage.
but what you're talking about runs into what the ordinance says, and I'm just trying to be clear, that's where and I understand you don't agree, you don't agree, but this is what the ordinance says, and when you come and say we have two lots, and now we want to put them in one, and we want to build an accessory building, if these were separate lots, that thing would look like a standalone structure. But what was in the packet was a site plan that was submitted to me from Joel, and I'll go back and check my emails again. And this is what we put in the packet as an alternate. This is what I reviewed and talked to Joel about. So I'm not really sure what you gave us or gave him or whatever. This is what we received from their architect, from Progressive, and that's what we use. So if there's something different, I guess I don't know what to tell you.
I have a question.
Yes.
You keep referencing the ordinance on separate lots. Well, would not be separate lots
Correct.
if they were combined. So what ordinance is in conflict when it's one lot?
Well, because if the lot combination, if they came and said, we want to build the garage on a separate lot and there was no lot combination, it wouldn't be permitted. So they're doing the lot combination to allow the second building, is what the question is. So then, this is where, looking at this, I asked them if they could move the garage after we got, the first plan we got, which is in your packet, has that garage on the south side of the lot, and it's actually fronting on another street. In looking at that, I don't think that's the best layout for the second garage, is to have it front on another street. And I don't think aesthetically it's gonna look, it's a corner lot, that's gonna look well. So I talked to the builder and asked them if they could look at that, and they came back with this second plan.
So if these two lots are combined, there's no ordinance that this then would be in conflict of.
Well, that's why that's why the city attorney recommend that if the council is in agreement with the site plan, that it be a condition of the lot approval, because this is part of the building of the house. I mean, it's part of, the lot combination could be done separately, but when you have a builder that comes in and says, this is what our project is, just like with Barrett's, even though that was approved about they got a variance several years ago, which runs with the property indefinitely. The whole thing is part of, the building permit. So when you approve a lot combination or a lot split, the council has the authority to set conditions on it, like that easements have to be removed and vacated, and this building part, where the garage goes, this is just a recommendation. I mean, you can approve it without that, you can approve it another way, but I think that the first way or some form of that is basically just trying to, go around the ordinance, because now they have one big lot, and all of a sudden you have a garage, way over kind of standing alone. So being built, and that's what we're recommending not be done, that second garage be built closer to the house and not far away. And part of that is because it's a corner lot. I mean, if it was a lot that was a different layout that had nothing behind it, and they built, a different configuration, it might look aesthetically different, but because you have a lot here, I mean, 2 streets, when traffic comes around, there's going to be a standalone lot under the first scenario, design, and then you're going to have a house over a ways. And when I talked to the builder, they concurred with our thought process about, the aesthetics of it and the layout. And so I asked them if they could work with their builder, work with their customer to come up with a different layout that would have the garage closer to the main structure. But in order to be able to enforce that, it would have to be a condition of the combination. And Scott, I don't know if you can explain that.
Yeah, I mean, typically you wouldn't, this is already platted, it's been in place for a while, the character of the neighborhood is set up with these lots as they are. This is rare that you as a council would put 2 lots together and allow another structure to be built on it, particularly for the neighborhood that's up there. So, and to Mark's point, if this is going to look very out of character to other homes that are up there, that's why you say, and again, it all starts with, the reason these lots are being combined is to get around what the ordinance says right now. It says that you only have this structure. It's not an accessory standalone structure on a lot. It has to be with a home. Beyond that, council has the discretion to do this. It's not an automatic. You have to approve this. I mean, this is something they have to get your approval, and you have to make sure you're okay with what's going on here.
I was up there Sunday morning, and I took the maps up there and looked at it for myself. It's an ideal lot on that corner. I've looked at it from the point of taking the garage, and like you have it facing, showing out to the south, the driveway out. And I've also looked at it from where it's on the plan number 2 is back towards the west. And to me, moving the building, the garage, farther to the Scrogan area, the driveway would go out, is kind of like a sore thumb in my feelings. I'm only speaking my own personal feelings on this here. I also have to look at the rest of the neighbors as to what they're looking at too, and the value of their homes versus this here. If this was me, I would even consider looking at this. It's an ideal corner lot. Placing your home there and placing the garage, just split them.
Can I show you the drawing that was submitted to Mark last Friday?
I can't really make him out, I'm sorry.
Can I show you the drawing that was submitted last Friday to Mark?
Yeah, I'm fighting for it. I think everybody would like to see it
It's
first.
not that drawing. It's 25 feet back from both lines, like it's supposed to be by the ordinances.
Yeah, this is the one from the original.
No, that's not.
Isn't that this one?
That's the one that's facing, that's facing south. See the driveway there? You turn the building so it's facing right there.
These are the 2 that we got right there.
That's
But
facing
you
right
moved
there.
it. This one's closer.
Tried to bring it a little farther down on the lot so I'd have some yard in the middle of here, instead of having everything on the other side of it where I can't see it. And then putting trees along here and along here instead of putting it in the yard. I don't want it to be a baseball field.
Sorry, I was up there today.
Aesthetically nice. Everything's crowded in one corner, it's a baseball field.
I can run copies.
House right next to Franzinski,
Now, what
I know
is
which one it
this?
is now.
Sign that one versus
and then
this one
around
here?
the corner.
Across the street from you and down at the end.
Yeah,
One, yeah, yeah. I'm
Here,
talking about
here.
a different house.
So did you drop that off?
House
Did you
across
email
from
it?
Emailed it to
Franzinski's.
you.
You go
Jeremy
around the
emailed it
corner.
to you on Friday.
What was,
And
what's your
there's a
email? I
standalone
wasn't here
garage.
Friday, but what was your
What
email
street
address?
is that on?
I mean,
My email address.
well, maybe you don't want to say it, that's fine, let me just,
But even
Means
if,
the
even
street
if the
going
garage
north
is
from
centered on the lot,
four-way
it's
stop.
not that. But I don't want it up against my.
Right there.
So the one
Bergen.
that's part of the packet
By the
has,
mailboxes?
the garage, I believe is 14 feet,
And this one's 24.
is that correct?
Right.
Right.
Okay, and what is the one that you just
Well,
submitted?
we're proposing either the middle of the lot or a little bit south of the center of the lot.
So that would, do you know the footage?
That one is the farthest one south, and I think it's 50 feet, 40
50
feet, something
feet.
like
But
that.
if we moved it to the center of the lot to be aesthetically pleasing, and again, we want to encase it with trees around it, you know, to have built that up.
It would be more like 30 feet then.
30 feet?
We were just trying to look at the ordinance about in the state about the spacing between a house and a detached structure. And so they were like, well, that's too close then, so can we get it down maybe to the middle of the lot?
And we were told we couldn't because it wouldn't be aesthetic.
Aesthetically pleasing or a resale value would be a concern, so I didn't understand that, that's why we were here.
And this is
Joe,
what we
did you
were,
look at it?
this is what we were told to do in July because we said we wanted an accessory garage or a second garage. And the only way we could do it is at the time of building the house. We said we wouldn't allow the garage later on, so we had to do it at the same time that we built the house.
And this would be our only way to merge the two lots.
Well, I don't know if it's worth, you know, you folks want to move into town, you want to put in, good investment here. I don't know if it's worth fighting over 16 feet. So I'll amend, the original motion I put out there was for, I didn't realize the controversy surrounding this, was for the map that was here. But I would amend the motion to allow you to go further, what direction are we going in?
South.
Further south, so that the construction of the detached garage would begin 30 feet from the house.
And that's where.
But no further,
Yeah,
but no further south than that.
great.
So you get, so the motion will allow for an additional 16 feet with the assumption that the applicants will then, of course, make it aesthetically pleasing for the neighbors,
Absolutely,
if they're in agreement with that.
absolutely, agreed.
So that'll be the amended motion that I'll throw out there.
I'll second that motion.
and I can't find, I looked on my phone, I can't find that email, it doesn't mean I didn't get it. I don't know if you sent it to M. Volsing at City of Kenyon or info.
Jeremy's.
Jeremy sent it, but we can forward it to you, sir.
Yeah, but I'm, and just to back up what I was saying, I did put your first one in the packet, so if I'd have had this, I certainly would have put it in there.
I
so.
appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's why you folks come to meetings. That's why we have meetings.
Right,
Figure this
agreed.
stuff out.
Exactly.
So Dan, to Dan's motion, really all you're doing is substituting the new depiction that Mark doesn't have, but we're putting that into the exhibit.
Correct, but I just want to make sure it's clear. I can't tell the footage on the map.
Understand, yep.
So I'm making it clear that it's a 30, the building has to begin
What's that?
30 feet, no further south than 30 feet.
And Mark will make sure that one gets substituted in the final.
Yep.
Yeah, and after looking at your map that you brought here, you know, I wasn't in favor of putting it way at the corner of the lot. I favored closer to the building, but after looking at it, yes, I'm gonna tell you too, I think you're making the right decision on that. And I do hope, you know, you bring with the landscaping.
That's why it's.
The landscaping, so that your neighbors, you know, are gonna have a pleasant view to look at too, than just
Absolutely.
a plain garage sore thumb out. there by
Absolutely.
itself. So-
And the garage is looking like the home, we're having it sided and everything to look exactly like the home.
Okay, very good. Concreted out, driveway and the whole
Yes,
works?
absolutely.
Okay. We have one question on an individual back there.
Up on Kenyon Road, right at the four-way stop.
Oh, that's on a different situation.
Yes, it is, but very similar, because the house sits on Kenyon and a detached garage is around the corner. So what makes it different?
You're gonna have to fill us in a little bit more on that. Where are you, is this location that you're saying now?
Right at the mailboxes up there. The house sits on Kenyon and the garage is around the corner, detached.
Is that the brown house on the corner? And that was probably built?
Yeah, it's an older house.
Right.
But now all of a sudden you're changing the rules and won't let these guys build the same way you built that one. And there's so many different ordinances and building codes around here, you don't know what is going on.
Well, I think we've come to agreement. If you're good with the motion, I don't know why we have to keep fighting about it. I'd ask for a vote.
Now, there's a quick clarification though, that the plan they gave us shows the difference between the garage and the house is actually 41 feet 6/5/8. So what your motion was
The motion is 30 feet.
30 feet.
They're
So
good
this
with
plan,
that. From the house.
10 feet closer, yeah.
so you'd move it 10 feet closer.
Absolutely.
Then we
Okay.
get 3,500 on the lot.
Agreed.
Well,
Okay,
Okay.
we're gonna have to take care of this particular end.
Yeah, we'll need to get an updated site plan.
Absolutely.
Good, sounds good.
it's an older home.
So it was built before we,
Built probably 1960.
Myron, I think maybe what, Eldon, what we maybe need to do is talk about that after this is, from what I'm hearing from Councilman Mortensen, this building has been somewhere into the past with different ordinances and permits, so I can't really say. Okay, let's move on here with resolution number 2020-28. It's a motion been made and second to adopt. So President Hemke, Mayor, says aye. John Mortensen?
This is with, as amended, correct?
It's for a 30
It's already
foot.
recorded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay, Tom Dart?
Aye.
Aye. Dan Rutschel?
Aye.
Aye. Richard Nielsen?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Okay, the resolution passes. Okay, we'll move on to the next one then.
Yes, item E, we've got resolution 2020-26, which Joe touched on before, and really all it's doing is, it's the standard resolution throughout the 429 special assessment process. It's declaring the costs that are actually going to be assessed and then calling for a hearing. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I looked at this resolution, the blanks were there, but Derek, I think, has completed those consistent with what the numbers are. And the only thing that's left is item 3, we have to set the date of the hearing, and I don't know what you have for that, Mark.
Correct, under now therefore clause number 1 of the resolution, you see the dollar amounts have been filled in based on the final assessment roll that we calculated, with the total assessments being $819,163. And then under item number 2, we have filled in the recommendation of 15 years for the term of the assessments. Obviously, a property can pay it off sooner than that, but if they choose to go the full term of the assessment, it would be spread over 15 years. And the interest rate, as recommended by the financial advisor who helped the city with the bond sale for the project, is 3.35% annually. So those amounts have been filled in item number 2. You certainly can change those if you want, but that's the recommendation coming forward from staff. So then the blanks that would need to be filled in, if you are okay with what we filled in items 1 and 2. In item number 3, we have to fill in the time and date. that you pick for the public hearing. And then once you do that and approve the authorization, approve the resolution, that gives the administrator the authority to publish it in the newspaper, and then give staff the authority to go ahead and send out the individual mailers to all the properties. So with the county wants the assessments certified and to them by what, the 23rd of November?
Yeah, I was thinking the 25th, but yeah, that week of,
So you could do it as part of your regular meeting in November, which is what, the 10th, I believe?
yeah.
Or you could do it, earlier that night if you want to do that as like a special meeting, but starting a little bit earlier at like 6 o'clock that night, or you could do it on a completely different night as an entirely separate standalone meeting.
Yeah, I guess the other option, I mean, from our recommendation standpoint would be if we don't do it the night of the council meeting, would be the 16th, the week of the 16th, which is the week of next week. Of November 16th, sometime that week.
Isn't that to be published though?
Well, yeah, it's gonna be published either way. I mean, but,
I'm open either one.
I think we should do it separate than a city council meeting, otherwise it may get very long, don't you think? We have everyone on Red Wing Avenue coming in and talking about this.
we have 190.
Assessment hearing, I mean, it could be an hour long
Or more,
or 90 minutes, yeah, for the assessment hearing.
separate day,
So-
but.
Yeah, the presentation itself will probably be about half an hour, just to go through all the numbers and make sure everyone's got all the information. And then we'll be taking public comments from anyone that's present and wants to comment.
So the week of the 16th, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday?
You're talking,
16th,
yeah,
16th, 17th, or 18th?
well, what works out for everybody? Have to have after school.
Yeah,
Any
you'd want to do it,
one of those 3 days works for me.
you'd want to do it at like maybe 6 p.m. So people, if they come home from work.
17th?
Well, I guess Dan will let you make that call.
It's fine with me, yeah, we usually do Tuesdays,
Yeah,
if that works.
okay. Well, Tuesday, what,
Be the 17th.
17th.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
November 17th, Tuesday? What time, 6 p.m., did you say? Everybody want to go at 6?
Is that- Okay.
So with that, you would need a simple motion and an approval of this, and then Joe and Mark can get that notice and send out to everybody, and you have the hearing on the 17th at 6 p.m.
I motion that we have our meeting on that day at that time, on the 17th at 6 p.m.
Yeah, so you're saying November the 17th
Yes.
at 6 p.m.?
Resolution
2020-26.
2020-26, yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, we'll see if we get this going. There's been a motion made, second for resolution number 2020-26 for a date of November the 17th, which is a Tuesday, at 6 p.m. All in favor, say aye. Mayor Hemke, aye.
Aye.
Okay, Richard, John Morrison?
Aye.
Aye. Tom Guard?
Aye.
Aye. And Dan Regigal?
Aye.
Aye. So ayes pass.
Sorry to jump in early.
See, that's it then, is that it?
It is, correct, thank you.
Okay. Well, then we can move on to old business.